Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We have our Fridays today, Stories of Hope. And our first guest is here from the Dominican Republic, but she's on her way back to Canada, and her name is Deva Neely. Deva has worn many hats over the years, including spending 20 years in the classroom teaching music and French and running her own performance academy to young, up and coming singers and actors. Life changed drastically for Deva when she lost her brother in 2013 to suicide. The trajectory of her life catapulted her into realms that she wasn't expecting. On her grief journey, she tapped back into a gift that she had since childhood, and it was her brother who helped her get it back. Deva is now a psychic medium, a grief coach, and a certification as a life transition counselor and coach. She helps others on their grief journeys, teaching people that death is not a finality. Deva now helps people to tap into their own intuitive abilities to learn how to communicate with their departed loved ones, sealing the gap between the human and the spirit worlds. Welcome to the show today, Deva.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So how long ago did this happen in your life with your brother committing suicide?
So it was about 11 years ago. So it was May 19th, 2013, and it pulled the rug out from under me. My world came crumbling down on that day. So it changed my life, and it changed me.
Did you already have a strong did you already have a connection to God? Did you already have a spiritual foundation? Did you already have any of that, or was that the opening that got you to question what happens now?
I did have a connection, and as a child, I was very connected, and I've told this story many times. So if people have listened, I'm sorry, I'm telling it again. But as a child, I communicated with spirits, and I saw them. I physically saw them as clear as I see you right now. And I, at 4 years old, explained to my mother how she and I were connected, and she was in a different realm. And that while I was asleep, she was awake in my dreams. And when she was asleep, I was awake in her dreams. And so I'm explaining quantum physics to my mom at 4 years old. And my mom, precious as she is, was like, oh, you have an imaginary friend. So I grew up having the ability. And then, of course, life changes as we grow out of childhood. And I was always intuitive, and I always felt things, but I didn't have that connection I did as a child. And so it was after my brother's death and through my own healing that I was able to reconnect in a very powerful way.
Do you think that that was also part of the plan?
I don't believe in coincidence. So yes,
Okay.
I think it's all part of the journey I was meant to take and my purpose.
Yeah. And so have you been communicating with your brother?
Constantly, yes. He is the spirit I communicate with most and most regularly. And he was the one who started me tapping back in by literally shouting in my ear. So every night I would be going to bed, and that state where you're not quite asleep, but you're not awake. It was in that state I would hear his voice yelling in my ear, and it would startle me awake. And I brushed it off for a while, and then it just happened so regularly, I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And in true fashion, my brother was a bit of a jackass in real life. He was a prankster. He liked scaring me. He liked doing things like that. So it was part and parcel to the personality that I remembered. And so, why would that be different in spirit form? And so that just sort of got me back on that path because I started talking back to him. And so there were conversations that started happening. And then other spirits were introduced, and that was interesting. And so the minute that started to happen, I thought, okay, maybe there's something here, because I was in the process of healing. And that just took me down a path that I felt opened me up in a different way. And it really solidified that healing part for me.
Wow, that's very profound. That's really profound that it brought you back. So as far as, the whole suicide piece, we were talking earlier before we came live, what is the suicide rate right now? And have a stat that you want to share with us.
The stat currently is that there is a suicide every 41 seconds somewhere in the world. And that's just that's any age, that's amongst the entire world. That gets broken down varied in different areas. And those numbers are even more staggering. And youth, particularly, when you look at the numbers of 25 and under.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot of pressures in the world, and there's a lot of negativity, and there's a lot of things that we don't address, or we don't talk about. When we don't talk openly about mental health or mental illness, and we don't talk openly about suicide, I think we feel if we ignore it, it won't happen, and that's just not true. And so when you look at areas where suicide is prevalent, oftentimes there are multiple in a row. And I'll give an example. When I moved back to my hometown in 2017, very small town, in a matter of months, there were 3 suicides at the high school. And this is in a very small town. And there's just not the resources in schools to provide counseling and to provide the support necessary to help kids process those kinds of things. And so when we talk about things like school shootings, and we talk about, natural disasters and war that is happening, we don't have the support helping youth through that. And if we look at our generation, we didn't have that support then either. And some people say, oh, well, we made it through. And I think, did we? Because are we healthy? Are our behaviors healthy in terms of addiction, in terms of, us processing our trauma? So I think that is the underlying foundation that we don't address that causes the big problem. We don't spend the time on preventative actions. We're reactive, and we react to it when it happens instead of trying to prevent it.
I think that's the big key is trying to prevent it. That's the big key. And so the message needs to be, the loud message needs to be, everyone, there's a big, huge suicide elephant in the room. We need to prevent suicides from happening. And here's the resources, and these are the things that we need to do. I think, that's what it comes down to. I suffered from suicide ideation my whole life until I was in my mid-30s, and I healed that suicide ideation, but I tried many, many times, and the angels were certainly working overtime to prevent that from happening. And what I discovered through healing my own suicide, it can be done. And since the time of that healing, I have never had that before, where that was wanting me to emotionally react like that, because that emotional energy was a core wound. And what I discovered that what I really wanted at the time when I wanted to kill myself was that I wanted to kill the pain.
Yes.
And that I wanted to kill the pain, and that I saw no way out. And
Yes.
that was the piece. And I think that if we can, right, talk about it in a sense to where that's really what it is. And you called it mental illness, but from where I was sitting, it was an emotion for me that was getting me to really want to act on that emotion. It
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily the mental for me. For me, it was an emotion that wanted me to really take action on that emotion. Like you're in so much pain right now, get out,
Yes. And we
right?
don't have the resources to teach emotional resilience. And teachers would love to provide it, but they're not given the resources to do it. And what do? We take more money out of education. We take away more resources so teachers are strapped and have very little and have so many kids. So how do they cope with those things? We don't teach emotional resilience. And how do parents teach it when they didn't learn it too?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's the piece that where we need to really get to it, because right now our school system, our education system is obviously in need of reform and in need of major resources. Just like
Mhm.
when you go to the doctor, you go to the doctor, and when you go there and doctors are trained to write a prescription rather than getting to the root cause of what's causing this for you to begin with. That kind
Mhm.
of it's the same thing. Most
Yeah.
of those things that are going on are issues, emotional issues. You know, if you have anxiety or you're sad, what are you feeling? What are you thinking about? All these
Yeah.
things. I could
And
definitely speak with you on a longer podcast, so maybe we can do that in the future. Let's tell the audience where they can look you up and find you on social media.
absolutely. Look for me anywhere under the name Deva Neely, Deva Neely. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and uh, yeah, I'm on all the socials, so they can find me there and any links prevalent. I'm also on YouTube. I have a podcast called Good Grief.
That's perfect. I mean, yeah, we can. I definitely want to speak with you again. I'll have Ashley connect us so that we can have another episode, another podcast discussion,
Sure.
simply because, the grief piece, we didn't even touch that. So there's a lot to talk about there. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, all right. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We are inspiring hope. Our next guest today is Lura Hunter, and she is an author, a missionary, and a heart healer. She holds a master's in counseling and special education, and Lura has a passion for loss. Her desire is not just to see them saved, but to make healthy, whole disciples. Lura has traveled to 9 different countries. With each country, she met new people and experienced God's heart in a new way. When she's not on the mission field abroad, Lura takes on the role of a healer for many and has over 10 years of experience in inner healing. She's also a retired speech therapist, a mother of 2, and a grandmother of 4, and considers them to be her greatest accomplishment. Welcome to the show today, Lura Hunter.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. And so I appreciate this opportunity. I love the format of your show, something positive in a lot of negative noise that's going on in our country. So thank you for having me here.
Oh, and you're welcome. And thank you for bringing the topic that we're going to talk about right now. In the break room, we were talking about one of your passions that you want to shine the light on right now is in Ukraine and the ministry that's happening over there and the war that's happening over there. So, and how important this discussion is to offer inspiration and hope. So
Yeah.
what would you like to say in response to all that?
Well, there is a lot. Ukraine is kind of a trigger word for some people because they're politically trying to decide if we should, help Ukraine or not. So it's a political issue, but in God's world, it's not a political issue. It's just a matter of the heart, because God is in the business of bringing life to people all over the world. And the mission that I wrote about is Noah's Ark mission Ukraine, and Peter and Irina Tkachuk. So the story is about them and how that their whole life story, how that came to being. So right now they are in Ukraine. They have I'll just call it a retreat center. It's a abandoned schoolhouse that they acquired, and there's a whole story around that. And now they put on camps. They started out their ministry of putting on camps for children. And since the war started, they started ministering to streams of people. First, the refugees that kind of came through, and they were a place where people could rest. And this summer already, they've put on 3 camps. They put on week-long camps. And some to the wounded soldiers. Wounded soldiers will come and that are waiting for maybe prosthesis from legs or limbs that they have lost during the war. And they come there to heal. And one of the biggest places of healing is hope.
Mm.
They receive love, they receive peace, they receive hope. And the people that minister to them in that ark, I just call it the ark, is they just minister them and love on them and give them an opportunity to heal emotionally and to process their trauma. And the widows and orphans and the mothers who've lost sons, they have separate camps for them, and they come and they're just loved on by people. And it's not a preachy thing. They're just showing God's love. And through that, they have a time where they can process again their trauma. And that's part of healing trauma, is through processing it with people. And generally, everyone will have a smile on their face after a couple of days. The women who have been so in pain, so in the middle of grief because of their loss, and so devastated by having to be a single parent and all of everything that has been put on them. And then they come alive again, and they find hope again, and they find they can laugh, and they find friends, and they find, this marvelous environment that the Noah's Ark team has created for them. And they just serve them like queens, and provide all of these activities for the women where they, can paint, they can do different crafts, flower arranging, they do exercising and dance and singing. So it's just a whole healing experience for those, for the people of Ukraine who've been, well, all of them have been traumatized. I can't imagine what it's like to have your country being invaded like that. So I can't really imagine, but everyone in Ukraine is affected and traumatized by this war. Just even hearing, the planes go by overhead all the time, and hearing bombs and all of that, can be really stressful. But yeah, I think that there's a scripture that says, without vision, the people perish. And I really feel like without hope, people just wither and die, they just wither and die. And so I'm just excited, to see the good work being done. That's not the only ministry, of course, going on in Ukraine, but I'm just so impressed by how they minister to the people around them, all the time.
Now, is this part of this ministry that is over there, that's doing this work, Noah's Ark ministry? Are these ministries that you've created or become affiliate with, or have you been there yourself?
Yeah, the founders, Peter and Irina Tkachuk, were immigrants from Ukraine. They came to the U.S. and I met them when they were in the U.S. through friends of mine, and just became involved with their vision. They had a vision to take the gospel of Jesus to children, which they had already been doing in Ukraine, but they shared the vision with the people in the US, and they learned English a little bit. And so I just became very interested. I have kind of a missionary heart, as you have introduced me. And I went to Ukraine twice with them in 2 different years, 2005, 2007, and helped with the children's camps. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I got to know them really well, got to watch them in action, and became, good friends and very impressed. I
2005, 2007, that was a long time ago.
I was in my 50s.
Wow, you still look like you're in your 50s.
Oh yeah, it's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I am a board member now. I just always helped out where I could.
You
And
know, it's amazing when you were talking about what's happening in these centers, what's happening. What the vision that I got is that these are like healing temples,
Mhm.
that are, that are where you are in these temples, and where you can recover, and where you can be loved, like you said. Their people are loved upon, they're loved up, and
Mhm.
they're able to sit with their grief, and be with their grief, and have someone that can listen to them and hold them and be with them. It's I wish we had, it sounds like, lots of PTSD trauma that so many people, even here in our country, that, are recovering from old wounding. We need centers like this, in our wellness communities as well,
Mhm.
for PTSD of various ways. But I think it's wonderful the work that they're doing in Ukraine, and what a beautiful gift that you all are giving and also receiving by that exchange that's happening.
Yeah, they do other things too. They take truckloads of supplies to bombed out places that aren't receiving any aid. And they have developed relationships with these people. People send them lists of things, and they package up things that people need, humanitarian aid and things for children, and then they post them to their address. So people are there all the time. People come to help, package up things. People just come to heal, like
Yeah.
uh, like like pastors or people that are working on the front lines with the soldiers will just come and sit and be in that peace.
That's so beautiful. The first responders, they're kind of like the first responders that are,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
What is it that you want people to know, that are listening to this podcast, that want to find out a little bit more about those ministries? How can they find out more about that on social media, and or any of your social media handles
Sure,
as well?
sure. I do have a website just with my name, www.lurahunter.com. And then it'll lead you, and then simple, my name on on Instagram and Facebook is just my name, Lura Hunter, not Laura. Missing it.
With a U, Lur.
Right.
Right?
And this interview came about because, I'm promoting the book as well too. I think there's so much in there's different takeaways from this book, that just the faith and trusting God, and how God puts people together, and how things can start little and grow, and how it takes so many people to realize a vision, and just even how to take care of those people that are helping. So
Yeah.
how you honor and how you use people's strengths to
Yes.
in their camps, because with the children's camps, you would have different volunteers, and they had different strengths. And so he would use their strengths to modify the program to benefit the volunteers as well as the children. It's just kind of amazing, just a multitude of ways. But I think, the bottom line is it's a faith story.
And that's exactly, it's a faith story, and it offers hope and also gives us the opportunity to heal, even here, listening to this,
Mhm.
where we can heal and where we can have compassion and even be a part. And I just want to thank you so much for the work that you are doing. Thank you for coming on the show today, Lura Hunter. I appreciate you and all the work that you all are doing.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show.
I
We'll be
just want to invite people that are have trauma to process with people. Don't isolate, and seek out friends and people who can help you process that. I just want to encourage people to do that here.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Our next guest today is Catherine Courtice. She is a passionate writer, speaker, advocate, and educator, empowering those facing chronic pain and life-altering diagnoses. Her background in kinesiology and education, mobility, therapy, and coaching provides deep insight into the human experience. Having journeyed through chronic pain herself, she understands this, and she brings empathy, insight, and resilience to everything that she does. Her holistic approach combines practical and scientific strategies, Christian principles, and specific mindful techniques, guiding clients to find hope amidst life challenges. Catherine's inspiring debut book, When Life Gives You Lemons, Choose the Lime, invites readers to embrace their unique healing journey and discover their limitless potential to live a fulfilling life after a life-altering diagnosis. Catherine lives and works in Wolfe Island, Ontario. Welcome to the show today, Catherine.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we were in the green room talking before we came live, I was asking you the question, is it possible to have joy when we're experiencing chronic pain or when we're given a diagnosis or life's, situation, something happens? And you said yes, it's
Yes,
possible.
I did.
Because that's what happened to you. It happened to you, and
Yes,
you discovered it yourself.
I did. It took me a long time. I had a big, busy life, 4 children. I was a school teacher, owned 4 companies with my then husband, and life was crazy busy, and it stopped in a split moment. I had a severe accident of falling down a flight of stairs backwards and putting my head through a wall. And in a moment, my life shifted and changed to a life that I had never known. I was an A-type personality, very, very active. All of the children were in competitive sports. And all of a sudden, life stopped. And I got this diagnosis that I was never going to get better, with a brain injury, with major structural issues, and a lot of symptoms that were keeping me glued to my bed or the couch and not being able to be involved with my family, not being able to go back to teaching or engage in the businesses or even care for my home. And so all of a sudden I'm left with this diagnosis from my doctor saying, this is your life forever. Go home, don't be a drain on the system, and just accept life that you have. This is the cards you've been dealt. And so that's why I call it Life's Giving You Lemons. So my book is When Life Gives You Lemons, Choose the Lime. And so life had dumped a massive amount of lemons in the middle of my living room, is what I say. And I couldn't see anything else but the lemons. I couldn't see anything else but the diagnosis and the symptoms and the negative issues that were impacting me on a daily basis. Meanwhile, I had these 4 beautiful children running around and wanting their mom, and all I could focus on were the lemons. And so not only did I bring my own life down, but I was bringing my 4 children's life down, my ex-husband now, his life down. And, we resist we resist having joy when we're in these moments. We don't allow the good things to come in because we want validation that things are horrible all the time.
We're almost comfortable in that struggle. We can't see beyond the struggle. Like we're just comfortable in there. And if we're rising out of that struggle, then we have to be in a different state of mind, state of being in order to come out. Is that right?
Absolutely. We are creatures of comfort. Humans are love comfort. We love to do the same thing. We're in our little box every single day. We do the same things every day, day in and day out. And all of a sudden you receive a diagnosis, or all of a sudden you're having major back symptoms, or you've been diagnosed with diabetes or arthritis, and things in your life are being stripped away from you. And you're trying to hold on to those things in your life. And really what we need to do is acknowledge where we are in this moment of our life. Nothing in life stays the same. And if we look back at, whatever age you are now and where you started, everything, it changes. Nothing really looks the way you thought things were going to look. Yet we want to hang on to certain ideals in our mind. And so we, those thoughts that we have are impacted constantly by holding on. And really part of my coaching, part of my teaching is that it's okay to have a pity party. It's okay to miss the portions of your life that aren't ever going to be the same. But staying there, staying in that pile of lemons, you're not going to notice all the beauty that's around you. You're not going to notice, and I call them the limes, choosing the lime. We get to take a step back from those lemons and say, okay, this is the lot that I have been given in life. Now what? Now what can I focus on? What can I do with these limitations that my body has been giving me? What can I do? And the ripple effect, Malcolm Gladwell started this ripple effect theory, where what we start to do has a ripple that goes out into all the different aspects of our life. And so often chronic pain takes away a lot of the aspects, takes away our social aspect, takes away our vocation, takes away our relationships. Yeah, connections. And so, but okay, we've been stripped of some things, but now we get to rebuild. And when we open up that box that we've been sitting in for so long and do something different, and that neuroplasticity has a huge component in how we can overcome chronic pain and embrace our life again, because we are going to have to do things differently.
And so now, since you've been doing things differently and you discovered this, you've proved your doctors wrong. So it's like, you were dealt a hand. It's basically like, here's your life sentence. This is what it's going to be. And then don't be a drain on the system, and now you have completely shifted your reality and have chosen limes instead of lemons and helping other people. How do people look you up on social media, find you, and learn more about the work that you do?
So I have a simple website, www.catherinecourtice.com. That's just my name, Catherine Courtice. So you can find me there. You can reach out to me personally in there. You can grab a copy of my book, which is there. I have a program, one-on-one program with a group component. And also Facebook Overcome Chronic Pain is my group Facebook. It's private, so you can have some anonymity in there and reach out and ask questions. You can private DM me there. And then I do have, if you do go to my website, there's a freebie. It's called From Resistance to Possibility. It's a little workbook that you can download. It's a great little resource to get you kind of thinking, from being in that box of the, yeah, but you don't know what I'm dealing with, to what else is possible. Where can I move forward in my life and find that hope?
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to speak about chronic pain. I'm certain that, that Facebook group that you have is a big group, because I know that, typing into chronic pain into the search engines is something that people are looking for on how to heal that. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot, because you have to be able to answer people and be with people that suffer from this. And so that means that you really have to know your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really know is that no two stories are the same, but the emotional impact
Mm-hmm.
from person to person, I get that. And I get how to draw yourself out of that dark, dark spot of being piled over by all those lemons, and to start to find those glimmers, find that hope, and find that joy again in your life that is there. It's there. We just need to work to find it.
Now, how long has it been since you have been, because you seem to be doing very well now in,
Mhm.
in your life. And so how many years has it been now since you're there?
Since I'm there, oh my goodness, what year are we? So I would say I'm going on 10 years of having my life back. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and that is something to note also, that it takes time and it's not going to be instantaneous,
Mm-mm.
right? And that the body takes time to heal, and it takes time to allow yourself to experience the new, what's possible, what else is there. And it looks like now you're doing well. And are your children doing well too?
Yes, just became a grandmother of two. So everybody is doing really well. They're all adults now, all
Yeah.
graduated from post-secondary and doing their own things. So everybody is great. And, my dream was to be a sports doctor starting out at early years, went through kinesiology, and now I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, is working with people in pain and helping them see that they can get better. That's been my passion my whole life. So funny how things happen in our lives. The lemons, now I say my accident was the greatest gift that I was ever given, but it's hard to say that to someone who's in that dark space. But coming out the other side and using it to help other people, and I'm so passionate about it. It really is where I'm meant to be. So without that accident, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's beautiful the way that you're holding that now and seeing that. And then I'll close by saying this piece, that there are some people that just want to remain in that state, in the
Yes.
old state, and they want to stay the victim, and they want to stay in that energy. And then with that comes consequences. And that's the piece. And what you're offering people is a way out,
Yes.
another way. And that's a beautiful gift. Thank you so much, Catherine, for coming on the show today. And I wish you many blessings and good luck with everything.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. What a great show today. I want to introduce you to Lisa Dare. She is the principal and CEO of Lisa Dare and Associates. She's an executive coach, leader, practitioner, and consultant speaker with close to 20 years of experience. Her background includes practicing as a clinical hospital pharmacist, a medical sale representative for several major pharmaceutical companies, and certified fitness instructor. As a dedicated lifelong learner, she continually kept adding new and innovative tools to her coaching and consulting toolkit. This enables her to support clients in becoming the best version of themselves in the pursuit of living their biggest and greatest life. Welcome to the show today, Lisa Dare.
Well, thank you, Cornelia. I'm excited to be here.
So we were talking about in the green room that you wanted to highlight one of Joseph Campbell's quotes, and then you have a personal story you want to share.
Yes. So I came across this the other day, and it was just perfect for the place that I was in. So the quote is, whatever your fate is, whatever happens, you say, this is what I need. It may look like a wreck, but go at it as though it were an opportunity, a challenge. If you bring love to that moment, not discouragement, you will find the strength is there. Any disaster you can survive is an improvement in your character, your stature, and your life. What a privilege. This is when the spontaneity of your own nature will have a chance to flow. And for me, Cornelia, it spoke to me of many situations in my own life. And the one that you and I were just chatting about was one that I shared with my father when he became quite ill during the pandemic and was hospitalized. And the physicians told us, we don't know that he's actually going to make it through the night. He's quite ill. So my sister and I chose to stay with him because, of course, it was COVID. It was only the two of us. And we said, whatever happens will happen. And he made it through the night. He actually continued to be able to survive for a period of time after that. And that was the gift that, we actually had that opportunity to be able to do that. But I think it was that we came at it with love because there was nothing else that we could bring to it. And I think it speaks to that human spirit. And I think, it's something that can apply to any kind of challenge or situation that people are facing, be it personal or professional. And I know with many of my clients on the professional side, their leaders are struggling right now. They're overwhelmed. They've got a lot of things to juggle. They feel like, how am I going to get this all done? I just had a conversation with a client where she said that very thing. But I just want to encourage people to think about staying in that place of love, right? And love brings hope, and it's about faith and trust. And I think some of that is lacking now, right? Because we're just so overwhelmed with so much negativity.
Yeah, I actually wrote down when you first started speaking or reading, I wrote these words down. This is what I need.
Mm.
When we say, whatever the challenge is or wherever we are, and it's really pressuring us, and that pressure is right there. What you are saying is that we replace the overwhelm and anxiety or judgment around this is terrible with this is exactly what I need, and I am bringing my love to this. I am bringing my life force energy. I'm bringing my acceptance to this, that this is what I need because this is helping me to grow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's very much, the expression of the distinction between something happening to me versus something happening for me. And, how often do people, right? Because the two almost gets people into a bit of a victim mode, right? In a sense of like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, this is happening to me. I can't do anything about it. But as you said, if we come from that place of this is what I need, this is happening for me. And yes, I know that sometimes people sort of say, well, how can I just place trust in something like that, right? Like, this is not good. But I think it's also recognizing that we're just labeling things. It's a label, right? If we were just to step back, it's just a situation. And if we were to look at it objectively, it's a situation where X, Y, and Z is happening. But it's when we start to layer in our own interpretation, we start to bring our own emotionality to it, that it suddenly becomes something different, right? And it's all about perspective.
I think it's, I'm very big on processing emotions and feelings and releasing and letting go. And so this is just part of my natural process. I mean, I've been doing that for a long time. So if I'm finding myself in a situation, in a challenging situation, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release and process the pressure. I'm letting this go on an emotional level. I'm letting go of the overwhelm. I'm letting this go. This thoughts and these emotions aren't serving me. I'm releasing this. That's a big part of my process. Then I come also to it after I did that. Then I'll come to it and I'll say, this is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I need, because then I've honored the feminine part and the masculine part of our inner being. That first, it's that emotion, those feelings that are pressing us to release and let go. And then at the same time, override it with a positive thought and an empowered thought.
Yeah, and I think that, and certainly I wouldn't suggest that, people not respect their feelings and emotions, but to your point, it's recognizing that we have agency, we have choice, right? It's honoring them. It's not making them wrong, right? They are what they are, and we all have different experiences and emotions and the way we react to them. But absolutely, right? It's almost like, as you were saying that, Cornelia, it has me think that it kind of clears the air, so to speak, right? It kind of wipes the slate clean, right? So how can I see this? How can I allow myself to see this from a perspective with a different kind of lens, right? Because I think sometimes emotions color the way in which we see things, right? And the way we perceive things or perceive others in particular, right? And it's just like, well, that is one form of reality. It may not be, and we sometimes don't realize there are other realities, right, that can exist, right, if we clear.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the piece. The main thing is not to stay a victim of the circumstance.
Mm.
And I think that's what you were saying earlier, by having agency and also by speaking to it that this is for me, perceiving it in a different way instead of perceiving it in a way that you are powerless, because we're never powerless. We're only releasing the energy of powerlessness. I feel powerless here. I feel like there's nothing I can do. And then at the same time, if we go with, this is what I need, this is helping me to grow, right away, boom, it helps us relax. And, oh, this is for me. Life is for me. And I can hold that space. And sometimes even just changing those thoughts or ways of being is enough to create a shift.
Absolutely. And I think when we can actually recognize polarity and actually hold those polarities, it actually also allows us to then access different parts of ourselves. It actually allows us to actually access creativity, right? Which is then allowing us to say, now in this situation, my creativity kicks in and says, now what can I do? Right? What can I learn? Right? How can I create and devise something from this? Right? So yeah, because I think we're exactly on the same page.
Yeah, how can I create? Because you are the creator and you have creativity and you have resources and you can do something. But first, releasing the feelings of powerlessness and old trauma that's coming up so that you can revise. I think that's what you're saying. And I love that. I love that. It's an empowering story of hope. And I want to thank you so much. Now, let's tell the audience how they can look you up on social media and learn more about the work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely, Cornelia. So I am on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So those are the places I hang out. I've got a website under construction, so that is coming. So that'll be my fall project. But would love to just chat with anybody who wants to explore that more, because I think, as you and I talked about, it really pertains to all of us in some way, right? Whether that be professionally or personally. And if we can really learn how to harness that, it just allows us to be that much more powerful and that much more impactful, right, in the world that we live in.
Yeah. Now, Lisa, did you give us the handles? Is it just Lisa Dare?
I am on Instagram. I'm a Connection Spark Plug. On Facebook, I'm Lisa Dare and Associates, and on LinkedIn, yes, I'm Lisa Dare. So,
Okay. Okay. Sometimes when people are listening to the show, they're not writing it down. So I wanted to speak those words. Also, the link that you have that we shared with you, Lisa, is the same for the replay. So anyone that you want to send that link to, it's the same for the replay.
okay, awesome.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on and speaking about this very important topic, especially right now with so much change going on the planet. We all need tools. We need the tools. And this was a wonderful reminder. Love Joseph Campbell. So this is so great. I want to thank you, the audience, for listening and tuning in to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. And we'll see you all again next week, Friday. Take good care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Cornelia.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.